up for this interview. What's going on? I am wearing my fight choreo shirt. It's a woman's world because guess what I did today? I got to do a fight clinic with Mario Rocha, and he is my wonderful guest today. I am so excited. But before we get to him, I have to do 2 plugs, and I want to remind everybody, if you have something going on, a Zoom theater project, or you're doing theater or social distance with masks at some park and you want people to come see you, let us know and we'll tell everybody about it. Right now we've got Melody Rivers, who is in Good People, and they are doing it on August 9th at 8 p.m. So go to Torrance Theater Company and look up that and how you can get in that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then also I'm doing Romeo and Juliet, Choose Your Own Ending at Little Fish. So go into Little Fish, look up that, and come watch us. And I want to know about everybody else's projects. Email us, marketing@kentwoodplayers.org. We want to know what you're doing because it's quarantine and we're bored. Yay for trying to keep theater alive during all this. All right, so today I donned on my mask and my power shirt and my yoga pants, and I went down to the park and I did a fight clinic. And this very talented man, we worked out some punches and some kicks and some reactions. And let me tell you, you are in good hands if you need a fight choreographer. Safety first and safety last. It's great. Let's bring on Mario Rocha. Also,
I'm trying to do a video. Leave me alone. Hey.
Hi. I hope you got him.
Yeah, he's not. I'll check on his breathing later.
He's fine. He's fine. Hey, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. And just so everybody knows, we are going to put up little clippets from that fight clinic. We are going to do it after this interview.
Good.
We ended with a pretty cool series, I have to say.
We did. And one thing that's very impressive, I have to share, that little series that we shot, 1 take.
Yeah.
That's a testament to your abilities. That never happens. 1 take.
Okay.
And great, we got it done.
Thank you. Thank you. I received that. But also I'm going to say, and I will say, that has a lot to do with your teaching and your choreography. Really awesome. So yay. So I want all of us to get to know you a little bit better and learn a little bit more about you. I've teased a lot of things about all the different things that you do. You are an opera singer.
Yep. Yes.
Classically trained opera singer. Which, just so you know, I didn't do Mario Rocha just because I actually always sing your name. Just all the time.
Gracias.
I sing everything. And then you are a fight choreographer. You are a stuntman.
Indeed.
Okay. And an actor.
Yes.
Film and theater.
Yep.
How did this all happen?
Wow. I started taking Kenpo karate when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
I have a direction to 5 years old. Kenpo karate. I have a direction to Elvis because my teacher was Ed Parker Sr., who taught Elvis.
Wow.
That was my teacher. Yeah. So a lot of those moves are based on Kenpo karate.
I'm kind of jealous right now.
On stage. That was in West LA, in a studio that no longer exists. And I had no clue who he was. All I knew that he was this mountain of a man. And my mom hated that at the end of class, all the students, 5-year-old boy, would lay down, and he would seemingly walk on us, on our abs. And it was not real. He wasn't putting all 300 pounds or however much he weighed on me, but it freaked out my mom every time.
That's
so
amazing.
I started doing Kenpo karate. I also took piano as a kid. Did Kenpo for a while, left it for a while. In high school, started to do Tai Chi for extra credit. And Tai Chi is actually a martial art.
Yep.
It's an actual art form.
Yeah.
It teaches you a lot of balance,
Yeah.
a lot of it actually informs a lot of what they do. I then went on to get a black belt in Taekwondo and Hapkido. Went to UCLA where I studied theater. Did a lot of stage combat at UCLA, including, believe it or not, this informs what I do on stage. Not only does Tai Chi help, but mime work. I studied mime work with Krzysztof of the Polish mime troupe, and that helps out, in my opinion, with my stunt work.
Okay, so I never thought I would ever hear, because I was just about to ask you, do you recommend for actors to study a martial art form when they're wanting to? But I don't think I would ever have thought, do you think mime would be helpful in...
So, don't start with mime.
Okay, good to
So
know.
let me answer one of your questions there. Yes, by all means, it absolutely helps to take a martial art as an actor for stunts. And then I have to tell you that you then often have to forget some of that training. But I'll get to that. By all means, study a martial art. People ask me what is the best one to take. Frankly, find a school that's close to you, with a teacher that you like, and go there. If
That's
the
it?
best teacher is 20 miles away, but you never have the time to go, that's not going to help you.
Okay, got it.
And find a martial art that is of interest to you, that you find fascinating, that is going to keep your interest and is going to keep you dedicated to it.
Noted.
Anytime you have a foundation, it most definitely is going to help so that your fight choreographer, stunt coordinator, can then take that as a base. I always ask, although I didn't ask you today, I always ask actors and actresses, hey, what's your experience with martial arts, sports? What's your physical experience? You dance, so that I have some kind of a level of where we can begin.
Right. Well, I liked today because I do have experience, and you know, we've shared that, we've talked about that before, but I wanted us to look at it as we're coming in green.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about, you know, the clinic today is like, what are we starting? I'm brand new. I've never done this before. This is a show. And I thought that was really interesting looking at it from that point of view.
That's also from a standpoint of safety.
Yeah.
So if I may say this, actors and actresses are often taught to say yes. Hey, do you know this? Can you do that? Yes. And that in the stunt world is a huge no-no. Hey, can you do this? No. But I've trained in this and this and this, and I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
As soon as you say yes to something that you cannot do, worst case scenario, you'll get hurt. You may hurt someone else. Or, let's just say everyone is safe. But because you can't hit your mark, because you can't repeat that thing 10 times, you're now wasting camera time.
Right.
And everyone's looking at the stunt coordinator. Why are we still on this stunt? We should have moved on an hour ago. So, stuntmen and women know not to say yes to something they have not done repeatedly.
Interesting. That's really good to know for as an actress so that we don't oversell ourselves.
Well, because of safety.
Right.
And saving time. Yeah,
right.
In stunts, people can get hurt on the easiest thing.
Yeah.
A simple punch can break someone's nose.
Yeah. That's interesting. When I've had quite a bit of experience, but not a lot of training. Like let me rephrase this. I've had a lot of beginner training, but I've not necessarily moved on through that. But when I still go into a show and I'm talking with a fight choreographer, I'm like, I've got experience, but let's pretend I don't. Because I'm like that. I'm like, safety first. I don't want to get hit in the face.
Yeah, and frankly, people say, oh, I have this certificate and that, and I have a black belt and whatever. Like, great, show me a punch and a kick. And you're like,
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's don't oversell yourself to the fight choreographer. Hey, you want to oversell yourself to the casting director? Have at it.
Right. Right.
But
I love it.
once you have the job and you're talking to the stunt coordinator or fight choreographer, who are often in charge of your safety and want you to look good on camera, don't say, "Oh yeah, I do a 360 spinning roundhouse gig." They're like, "Great, show me." And they trip and fall, break their ankle.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, good to know. Well, before we get really in depth into how this works, let's add on how, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and you correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a huge market for opera singing stuntmen?
Let me tell you this. When I first started, so I took karate as a 5-year-old boy and piano. I ended up going to Loyola High School. I sang in church choirs. I played high school football and the spring musical. I ended up going to UCLA where I studied music and theater. I studied classical singing. I was a classically trained tenor. Done a good deal of dance. Worked at Disney as a dancer, singer, and done 8 years of various shows from Pocahontas to Animazement, Hunchback, stunt show at Disney. Worked on a cruise ship, sang around the world. And the answer is no. When I first started going on Facebook, I was like, singing? What? No, I was like, only about stunts. Like, I don't sing. I don't even do musicals. No, I'm a stuntman. Because I didn't want to, in my eyes, diminish my abilities as a stunt person, to be honest. No, that's not a thing. Little by little over time, you hear like, "Oh yeah, I do musical theater," or like, "Oh yeah, I'm a singer," or la 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 la. I'm a musician. You hear that from certain stunt people, but by and large, no, that is not a thing that's in demand.
I wouldn't think.
No, I do have an idea that I want to shoot a video where that's going to incorporate classical singing and stunt work in a very dramatic piece. But I will save that for a later day.
And I will be sending you my headshot resume when we're logged out here.
I do need a wife who kills me.
You need what? Oh! Spoilers! Spoiler! We're supposed to give a spoiler alert. We'll fix it in post. We'll do it in post. No big deal.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine. Okay. Oh, I also wanted to talk about, because that's a little bit about you. How did you hear about Kentwood, and how did you get roped into becoming a member at Kentwood?
I grew up in West LA my entire life. I've lived in Mar Vista. I currently live in Culver City, like 8 minutes from the theater. It's a gem of a theater that's kind of tucked away, so it's not the type of place that you happen to drive by. I happened to be taken to the theater on a date.
Oh.
Yeah, sexy date. Sexy woman, but that's not why we're here when I talk about that.
I'm going to get the tea later, y'all. Go ahead.
I saw, oh my God, I'm trying to remember what I saw. I'm sorry, I don't remember what. You may have been in it. I know I've seen you on stage. I can't wait. And you may have been in that first production.
Funny.
Don't quite recall. But I enjoyed it. Loved the space, loved the theater, great people, and I became a member. And I'm still with the person who took me there. That was about 2 years ago. Two and a half years.
She is pretty sexy. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. She's pretty awesome. So I wanted to say, since then it's interesting because a lot of times when people become members at Kentwood, it's because they did a show or something like that. And I one of the things I've really appreciated since you've been around is how active you've been as a member, from just being a part, like just coming to see the show and saying this is a cute theater and meeting people. You did a little bit of fight choreo for Dial M for Murder. You helped paint the set for, was it Daddy Stein who's got the will? It was Match.
I've done a lot of painting.
It was both, actually. We did.
Yeah.
We did wood floors for both those shows.
Yeah.
I know for Dangerous Obsession. I mean, like you've helped out a
Pippin.
lot.
I
Pippin,
think
yes,
a favorite.
Pippin. So I just think that it is such a great example of being a member and being active in a community. Have you done, before you started doing all this professional stuff, did you do community theater, and have you done a lot of community theater?
Um, so I'm like you mentioned, I'm this odd mix of sports and martial arts and the opera. I sang in church choir as a young boy, and I had the opportunity to sing in an opera, the boys' chorus of Carmen. So there was, God, fourth grade
Oh my
boy
word.
soprano singing in French at L.A. Opera, not the L.A. Opera, Los Angeles Opera. There's a difference. Which at the Casa Italiana, which is also in I think downtown. And I did, as a young boy, many operas. I did Carmen, Othello, I Pagliacci.
Wow.
I did Carmen, I think, 5 times before my voice changed. And my parents, being the good Catholics that they were, never told me that voice changing was a thing or that puberty was a thing.
Oh, right.
I sang in St. Timothy's in West LA, sang in the church choir, and over the course of the summer, I lost my voice. That was horrifying because I had no idea why, and so that's how I started. I then went to Loyola High School where I did all the spring musicals. I did My Fair Lady. I was the MC in Cabaret. I was Freddie in My Fair Lady. They were considering doing Sweeney Todd, Music Man, and The Padre in Man of La Mancha. That was at Loyola High School. I then went to UCLA, where I did various productions, including Rapunzel's Prince in Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim. I'm a huge fan of.
Yes.
And had the highlight of my college career was being in Once Upon a Mattress.
Ah, yes. I've always been shy. Mm-hmm.
As the minstrel, directed by the one and only Carol Burnett.
Oh, stop it.
No, Carol Burnett directed me
Stop.
in Once Upon a Mattress at UCLA.
No.
It was a phenomenal experience. Phenomenal.
Mario, I don't know if we can be friends anymore. I'm so jealous right now. But I also am kind of like, I feel like we should be friends, and I should just, as soon as COVID's not a thing, just get that DNA. It's like talent. That's awesome.
I know we're not here to talk about all those other things, but just one very quick story about working with Carol Burnett. She's a phenomenal human, extremely funny. Hello, her Carol Burnett show. She's a good director, but her favorite thing to do was she would try to explain something like, okay, everyone back on stage. She would plug herself into the scene as any character she chose, and then just do it. Let's just do the scene with her in it. And she would, now, don't do this on your other stages, improv certain things. And gave us the freedom with Once Upon a Mattress to, if a bit worked, a bit as in like a little gimmick, to do it, even though it wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that. But Carol Burnett said it was okay.
When it's Carol Burnett, you can do it. When she says it's okay, you can do it.
Yeah, but how phenomenal was that to be on stage acting with her?
That's amazing.
Yeah, she was cool.
That's amazing.
Does that answer the question? Oh yeah. So I then worked at Disney. My first show was Pocahontas, the Pocahontas stage show, which was more of a singing, dancing role. Various other shows. I worked at Disney on and off for about 8 years. Sang on a cruise ship. Did a stunt show when Disney California opened called Lights, Camera, Chaos. Directed by someone who went on to then direct for Cirque du Soleil, Jacques Heim. Loved Jacques.
Wow.
One of the best experiences of my life was working and learning from Jacques Heim, who is the choreographer and artistic director of Diavolo dance troupe, who I got the chance to work with as well. Diavolo. They're phenomenal. They were on America's Got Talent not too long ago, a few years ago. I've done some community theater. I happen to be SAG and Equity, and I got that fairly early on, so I don't often get the opportunity, though I would love to be in community productions because I have to. If anything, love Equity, but I got burned as soon as I joined. I auditioned for The King and I was in my mid-20s in Santa Barbara CLO when there were CLOs everywhere.
Yeah.
That's not even saying Civic Light Opera. And at the time, my agent wanted me to audition for The Lion King. And I got my card, and then I got a call from The King and I saying, hey, we want you as Louis Ta. And The King like, great. My agent was like, all right, we'll give this much. It's like, well, I thought he was non-union. Like, well, 3 weeks ago he was, but he's union now. So I never did The King and I as Louis Ta.
Oh, that's hard.
And now I'm too old.
Oh, are you though?
Right.
No, listen, Ian McKellen played Romeo when he was 37, so.
Yeah, I'm only 46. I can play 18.
You can do it. I mean,
yeah.
If Ian McKellen did.
Yeah, right?
I think, well, see, this says even so much more about how involved you are and thank you. Thank you for helping us paint until 3 a.m. to get our sets up.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. So here's the one thing about theater. Theater is a collaborative art. The movies, the film, it takes a village. And I honestly did it with absolute pleasure to have a paintbrush and once paint the stage black. I was more than happy to do that and to do it again.
Thank you. And I think, you're 100% right. It is so collaborative, and it is really rewarding as a group to sit back and go, look at this. We did this all together as a team, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we really you can't do it alone. There's just not enough hours in the day.
No.
For a person. So let's talk fighting. Let's talk about you go on to into a theater production, yeah. And you've got us actors, and let's say we're not that trained or experienced. What is it important for us to know when we know not to oversell ourselves, and we know to not so that, but what is important for us to know whenever we're learning choreography and we're starting this process
right.
out? So
here's the thing. Because you've heard of this interview, you know not to oversell yourself.
Right.
90% of all the other actors out there are going to say, oh, yeah, I have a black belt and this and that, and I've done fight choreo, and I've done all that.
Right.
I hear that and disregard it because I need to see it. So I go, oh, awesome, great. No, but I do want to know, what's your experience, because I asked earlier, right, dance, athleticism, anything. And then we may do a simple warm-up, and then I'm going to say, hey, show me a couple punches and kicks. 2 punches, 2 kicks. I will immediately be able to assess from those punches and kicks, and perhaps one reaction, where we're starting. Safety, as you said, safety first, safety last. In between that, my job is to make you look good. Mm. To take the script and to honor what the script says, to honor the director's vision, to honor the character, to honor the arc of the character, and to do what it says there. The guy's dead. Well, make sure the guy dies. He has a limp from that point forward. So, okay, how did that happen? I've seen it where, because film is often shot not in continuity. By that I mean, they jump around a script, right. Generally because the location is not available. And I will take note, there's a huge bruise that the makeup artist put on the actor's left cheek later in the movie I better make sure that that bruise happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not in the script. It's a choice that perhaps the makeup artist had. Like, oh, okay, well, how did that actor earlier in the movie get that bruise? Let's make sure that something hard lands there earlier, later. So yeah, I have to read the script, talk to the director, assess the abilities, and then work their way up, making them look good, being safe. If they know nothing, if I have no time to train them, what's the minimum we can do to sell the script and the director's vision while keeping people safe? And if I can build from there, like, whoa, that kid looked pretty. Oh, well, I'll say, hey, show me. Okay, oh yeah, I have experience. I did Tai Bo, which actually has worked for some people, others not so much. Whoa, that was a good kick. Note to self. Samantha can kick pretty well. I'm going to use it. And I just said Samantha because it's the person, it's a common name. Show me a punch. They may say, ooh, my right shoulder hurts because I slept on it wrong. Great. No right punches. And the audience never knows that, hey, those are only left jabs and left crosses and whatever. Because I took a note of, what hurts and what ails them and worked around it for safety and for, I don't want you to do something 10 times. That's going to be painful.
Right. I love this. This is all great. Let me ask you this. I know in film it's going to be different because I'm assuming you're getting your choreography, you're rehearsing it a little bit, and then you're shooting it right then. You don't necessarily take it home and practice,
it
or
it varies depending on how much time and money you have.
That's true.
I rather design in advance.
Right.
But that being said, I'm someone who likes, if at all possible, to use the environment. By that I mean the stage. Where are we? How is the world we're physically in informing what's happening with the fight?
Yeah.
Because they're not two people fighting in a void. If at all possible, and I love this, but it takes more time and money, are there breakaways? Can we destroy stuff?
Yeah.
Can I chuck someone through a couch or a table or glass or break a vase over your head or go colliding into something and things fall on you? That is so much fun, but requires more time and money and safety.
Right.
So it varies. It varies on production, varies on how much time and money they have. Yes, I have been in situations where, these are the two actors, and we're shooting the scene in half an hour, and this is what we need to happen, do it. Okay, this punch, that punch, this kick, this reaction, great, that tells the story. You don't just want random punches and kicks for no reason. What's going to tell the story?
What's going to tell the story, exactly. It's so interesting. Everybody we come on here, when we had dance choreographer, the fight choreographer, everything, directors, everybody, it all is coming together. We had some designers, costume designers, everything is coming together to tell the story, and that has to be the focus. Anytime I've seen something that maybe has missed the mark a bit, that's always been the thing. It was not staying true to what the story was, whatever aspect it was that's missing the mark. So good. But let me ask you, okay, so let's say it's for theater, let's say it's for a film where we have time to rehearse. As an actor, what are some tools and tricks we can do in our own private rehearsal where you're not there, our scene partner's not there? Do you suggest rehearsing in front of a mirror? Do you suggest filming ourselves? What is it that you suggest to help us, be believable, but also, hit our mark? We talked a lot about that today in the clinic.
Yeah, are you saying after you've already had a rehearsal or prior?
Yeah, you've given us the choreography. Right. Now I get to go home and practice it on my own.
Great. Please do your work as you would with your script. Please, if at all possible, immediately write it down in your own language.
Oh, right.
Let's just say you don't know much about fighting. If I tell you left jab, right cross, uppercut, whatever, and that means nothing to you, it's a foreign language, then you're going to look at it and go, I don't know what I just wrote here.
Right.
Write down those things, and however you're going to write it down. I definitely encourage shooting it with the camera. We all have cameras, and then rehearsing with that.
Okay.
Listen to your fight choreographer and fight director, so that you do things safely. Choreography is like any dialogue. If it's not in your body, when it comes to shooting it, you may second guess yourself. You can see when you're like, what's the next line? Or what's the next move?
Right.
And then you can get hit or hurt.
Right.
Or we just lose the take and you have to shoot it again. You're wasting time if you don't rehearse.
Yeah, absolutely. The last show that I did in Dudley, where you had you saw and we were talking about some of the different things. I remember too. I had a slap in there, and it doesn't have any contact with the other actress, but yet our choreographer asked us not to, our fight choreographer asked us not to practice with each other at first until we got, really comfortable and we got the approval from her. Even though we weren't even touching, even just about safety, like you could accidentally get too close or whatever. And I found that really interesting. So whenever we would practice, it's like we were preparing for pandemic. We would be like 6 feet apart so we could get timing, but I was not anywhere near.
Yeah.
Do you have something similar? Like, do you not recommend practicing together until a certain point?
Well, you have to work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
You start slow. You start with distance, and then you start to speed it up and close the distance. So yeah, you don't know. You can close your eyes and reach and grab something. And you probably do that on a regular basis, but you don't do that throwing a punch at 15 miles an hour. So it's extremely easy to try to slap someone and actually hit them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. You can break blood vessels. I've seen you can box someone's ear. You can actually create permanent you can shatter someone's eardrum entirely accidentally.
Right.
I recently, and I know we're on shutdown, but I actually had the opportunity to be on set for one night about 3 weeks ago, and I yelled at an actress. I kind of felt bad, and I kind of apologized, but it was important for me to do that. So we have one actress who's tied up in a chair. She's being tortured. Fortunately, I was the one doing the torturing. And then my boss, a older, sexy lady, comes in, and I had her a mallet. She's supposed to hit her across the face with the mallet. And we were discussing it, and she was like, "Oh, is this what I'm going to do?" I said, "Stop!" I said, "Hold!" She's like, "What?" She told me, "Oh, what? I've trained, I've done stunts." I'm like, "No, stop. I don't know what you're about to do. Don't demonstrate on the actual human sitting
Right.
before
Wow.
you."
Yeah.
I don't know. And she was, maybe she would have stopped. I don't know that.
Right.
As someone who's in charge of safety, I can't trust that. I've seen people get hurt in that exact same scenario, same situation. My son, he's 8 years old. I trust now, over a lot of experience, that when he gets to a corner, he's going to stop. He's going to look both ways before he crosses the street. I trust that from experience with him. If I was in charge of some other 8-year-old and I saw him quickly approaching the corner, I'm going to yell at that child to stop because I don't have experience with that person.
Right.
And I don't know. If some other parent was looking after my son, I would hope they would yell at him to stop him because they don't know.
Right.
They don't know that he would stand there and he would wait and he would look both ways.
Right.
So likewise with an actor or actress on stage, you have to build in safety. You have to build in distance and time and slowly
Yeah.
And also to
Yes.
save time, where's the camera going to be? If you have the luxury of knowing where the camera's going to look, then I can tell you precisely where to aim the implement so that it's going to read, so that we're not wasting time.
Yeah.
Right now you're looking at me, so bam, right? So I can go here. But if I'm training you this way, it doesn't. You're never going to see this hit my face,
Right.
ever. Yeah, safety is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Like we did a lot of stuff today for film in the clinic, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with movie magic and
Yeah,
cheating with distance and
angles.
keeping everybody safe in angles and all that stuff. But I feel like, oh, I'm just seeing a comment from Earl. Hi, Earl, honey. So, thank you for watching. But I know in theater we still can cheat a lot too with distance, but there are elements that you like. We don't have the luxury of a camera or a different take, so you have to be
Right.
where you need to be so that the audience isn't seeing this space. We did, for Deadly, and I know for Pippin we had silly fighting, but even with silly fighting, we did a fight call every day before the show. Is that something that you like? It has to happen. You need to have fight calls and
Oh, absolutely. It's a part of equity rules.
yeah,
There must be, by law, by union rules, a fight call, a fight captain. Your fight choreographer, like a director, they put up a show and they rehearse and they leave. They're gone.
yeah,
They moved on
yeah,
to other things. There's normally a dance captain. It could be the dance captain, but someone is designated as the fight captain, and there is a fight call an hour before everyone's half-hour call to rehearse what's going to happen. It's just way too easy to disregard a move, for timing to be
yeah.
off, and to hit each other. And if you can avoid that, you may as well, because
I
you want to go home and you need to come back the next day and do it.
Right. I also found that like over time, I mean, I think this just happens depending on how long you're doing a show, but like in LA, we do these 6-week runs, things you get a little comfortable, and it's not, maybe it's safety. Maybe we're like, oh, I'm not even anywhere near the person. But even if the angle turns a little bit, then the audience is like, she was nowhere near the person, like sometimes it's exactly like you said, to make us look good,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that is so important. And I remember, like, we had a great moment in, I don't want to say too much because spoiler whenever people see Deadly. But there's a great moment that happens in Deadly that I get to do. And even though by the time you came and saw it, it was so far into the show, one little tiny tweak of a movement sells something so much, even more rather. And I feel like even after so much time of doing something and it's the same thing over and over and over, like having that refresher, and I think that happens in Fight Call with the fight captain. There were plenty of times where she was like, that same slap, I could do it in my sleep. But she was like, oh, watch your distance. You're too far away from her. Like, where I'm
Right.
not crossing her ear where it looks like I'm getting her cheek. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Rule of thumb, on camera, 6 inches. 6 inches is plenty of room to sell something, to be close enough and at a safe distance, say 6 inches to a foot. But to be honest, on camera, you could do something almost 2 feet away, and as long as the reaction sells and you later have good sound effects, something like that can totally be. There's no need to be within centimeters of someone's face
Amazing.
to make it look like you've hit them.
Yeah. It's incredible. There is so much magic that happens in theater and film that we get away
Yeah,
with.
it's make-believe.
Exactly. But to look real, amazing. So before we go, I want to wrap up with a little, if you have like your favorite experience or the most fun thing you've ever done with fighting or stunts in particular, do you have a favorite?
God,
I know you probably have so many. It's like choosing a child.
Right. Yes.
Or your favorite Beatles album. How can you choose that? You can't choose that.
White Album. God, there are some. Oh, I had the pleasure of working with, and I do mean pleasure, Dolph Lundgren. I got to rough him up, which is cool because freaking Dolph Lundgren beat up Rocky and killed Apollo.
Yes.
So
you showed him who's boss.
I put him in his box. I told him what for, and then I beat him up a little bit. What? That's what I got to do. It was in the script. Sorry. But one thing that was so fun, it was actually relatively simple. But one reason I got the job is because of my experience and my ability to sell the relatively simple hits. It's Dolph Lundgren. Don't actually hurt him.
Oh wait, you froze right at that moment. Say that again, Dolph Lundgren. What?
Oh, it's Dolph Lundgren, so you better not freaking actually hurt him.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, if you look like if you're being ginger, and weak, he's gonna be like, dude, I'm Dolph Lundgren.
No one's buying that.
No. If I'm gonna get bent over from that hit to the gut, you better send it. Don't hurt me. But you send it. I have a clip of that. You can probably even show it later. The two simple moves require a lot of experience and a lot of training to sell those two moves effectively and have it be believable and safe.
Amazing.
So that was one of my favorite experiences working with him.
I just so people know, I did put that clip up on Instagram, Twitter. It's on our social media. You can see it. So go there and like it's cool, along with Mario's reel. But anyway, go ahead. Yes.
So there's a lot of experiences doing a 30-foot high fall.
Did you just say a 30-foot high fall?
Yeah, 30-foot high fall.
Yeah. I'm good. Thank you, though.
My girlfriend hates that. Putting my head through a wall was kind of cool. Being grabbed by the lapels and then chucked across the room and taking things out. That could be a lot of fun. Car hits are cool.
That's so
getting
cool.
beat up by girls. I'm like, getting beat up. The fight choreography, when you're working with other professionals in particular, can be a lot of fun. When you introduce ego and false knowledge, that's when it can be frustrating, painful, and borderline dangerous. We all want to tell a story and be able to tell the next story.
Yes.
So let's rehearse. Let's do the work. Let's take fight choreo or fight training or hell, even Taibo, and be ready for the next production.
Yeah, I love that.
Work.
That is great, and that also sounds like some really good advice for us. And I'm going to do that. This is why I've been. So I got my certification. I'm worked with you in the clinic. I love this, and I want to be prepared for the next thing personally. So I hope all of you out there are also thinking about this when we get out of quarantine. One last thing, though. Has there ever been any kind of just debacle or like something goes wrong and you've had to like, or is it like, are you kidding me? We rehearse everything's so planned out and so strict, like, and I mean like maybe a silly debacle, not like an injury debacle.
People dying. Yeah.
Though my friend Adam Hart did tell me of a story. He does stunts in film, and he was telling me of a story where he was doing a take. I can't remember what movie it was. And he, like, in the take, broke a bone. Like, got up. It was like Tom Cruise style kind of thing. Like, got up, like, finishes the scene. And was like, hope you got that. Yeah.
Yeah. There are times where you never want to touch someone's face. Sometimes you do some contact around the midsection or certain places. But if you accidentally do, let's just say and I've never done this. I accidentally just tag you. Never, ever, ever immediately apologize and break character. That is worse. If you actually hit me, let's continue with the choreo, and at the end of cut, say, dude, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Like, yeah, it's fine. But if you hit me, and then immediately go, oh, ow, stop. What the
Then
dude?
the whole thing's ruined. Yeah.
We can't use that take. You've told, that is unforgivable.
Yeah.
Look, you're gonna hit me. It happens every once in a while, and then buy me a beer later.
I have to say, I feel like because safety is so important, like all of the debacles I've ever had in theater or film have been silly and not like, my wig flying off in theater or something like that, or costume malfunction or whatever. That doesn't hurt anybody per se. But like, I feel like when we're doing stunts and fighting, everything is so planned out. I mean, obviously, like we know there's a risk factor with stunts. I mean, that's why you're trained. That's why insurance is out there, because we know that. But like when we're doing fight choreography on stage and stuff like that, it's so planned out. I feel like there's just no room for debacle. Like there's no room for silly unless that's the plan.
Yeah, you need to overplan.
Yeah.
To accommodate for Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
You need to, in particular, say on a set, someone's getting pushed up against the wall. I'm literally running my fingers on that wall, and it's happened where like, oh, there's a little nail sticking right where the guy's back was going to go, or it's a soft or whatever. You're combing the floor. You're like, okay, don't want to land on that.
Right.
Yeah, you have to prevent any injuries, and you just look at the entire environment.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us and talking about all of this. I know when we were at the clinic, you said you have a team of people that you typically like to work with. I'm going to be training, and my goal is to make it onto your team. Just throwing that out there.
Maybe you can get an audition. I'll talk to someone.
I'm going to throw that out there, see what we can do about it. But thank you so much. This is really great. This has been so much fun, and it's wonderful to learn about doing fight choreography and fight, stunts and stage combat and stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining and watching us. And you know what? I totally normally have the schedule out in front of me and I can tell you who's coming next, but I don't. Slacker. I'm done. I'm grounded. I'm blaming my new sunburn, which I noticed that came out as we've been sitting here talking. So I will have updates and I will put it up on our social media as to who Thursday's guest is. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Every Sunday is at 7 p.m. or 7:15. Come join us and don't forget to follow us on all the socials and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. Talk to you soon.